The garage door screeched like a wounded animal, a sound that sliced through the quiet of the cul-de-sac at 3 a.m. My heart jackhammered in my chest as I stood there, staring at the empty space where my '67 Mustang should have been. Candy apple red, chrome gleaming like it was polished by angels, gone. Not just gone, stolen. And I knew exactly who did it. Karen. The Homeowners Association queen with her clipboard of doom, her pinched lips always spitting venom about my non-compliant car. She'd been gunning for it since the day I rolled into this cookie-cutter hellhole of a neighborhood. I could still hear her nasal voice at the last meeting, that eyesore lowers property values. Eyesore? My baby was a masterpiece. And now, she'd crossed a line. I didn't sleep. Couldn't. The air in my house felt thick, like breathing molasses. Every creak of the floorboards was a taunt, every tick of the clock a reminder of my rage simmering, ready to boil over. I paced the kitchen, the linoleum cold under my bare feet, coffee going bitter in my mug. Karen thought she could just waltz in, tow my car, and hide behind her rulebook. She didn't know me. Not really. I wasn't just some mechanic with grease under his nails. I was Ethan Cole, the guy who'd rebuilt that Mustang from a rusted skeleton, who'd poured every spare dime and sleepless night into it after Sarah left. That car wasn't just metal, it was my heart, my fight, my proof I could rebuild something broken. By dawn, I was a live wire, buzzing with purpose. I grabbed my spare keys from the lockbox in the closet, the jangle of metal a war cry in my hand. Karen's house was 3 doors down, her lawn manicured to a fault, her mailbox screaming her name in gold cursive. I'd heard rumors she had a storage lot for her homeowners association crusades, cars, bikes, anything she deemed unfit. I didn't have proof, but my gut screamed she'd stashed my Mustang there. I slipped into my boots, the leather creaking, and headed out. The morning air smelled of dew and gasoline, sharp and alive, like the world was holding its breath for what came next. The lot was behind the community center, a chain-link cage tucked behind a row of pines. I spotted her immediately, my Mustang, parked like a trophy in the gravel, her red paint glowing under the rising sun. My chest tightened, relief and fury twisting together. But then I saw him. A kid, maybe 17, lanky with a mop of blonde hair, leaning against a beat-up Civic. He was smoking a cigarette, the tip flaring orange in the dim light. "You Ethan?" he called, voice low, like he was in on a secret. I froze. "Who's asking?" He flicked the cigarette, sparks skittering on the ground. "Name's Jake. Karen paid me $50 to watch this place. Said you might show up." He smirked, but it didn't reach his eyes. They were tired, shadowed, like he'd seen too much for his age. "She's got it out for you, man. Thinks she's the law around here." My fists clenched, the keys biting into my palm. "She stole my car. You know that's a felony, right?" Jake shrugged, dropping the cigarette and crushing it under his sneaker. "She said it was HOA business. I just needed the cash." He hesitated, glancing at the Mustang. "It's a nice ride. Doesn't seem right, her taking it." "I didn't have time for this. You gonna stop me?" He laughed, a dry, hollow sound. "Nah. I'm done with her games. Just don't tell her I let you through." He stepped aside, and I saw it then, a flicker of defiance in him, like he was sick of being Karen's pawn. I nodded, a silent pact, and headed for my car. The Mustang's door opened with a familiar groan, the leather seats cool and smelling faintly of the wax I'd used last week. I slid in, the steering wheel solid under my hands, and turned the spare key. The engine roared to life, a deep, guttural growl that shook the air. My pulse surged, a grin splitting my face despite everything. She was still mine. I eased her out of the lot, gravel crunching under the tires, and pointed her toward Karen's house. This wasn't over. Karen's driveway was empty when I pulled up, but her front door flew open before I could kill the engine. There she was, in a pristine white cardigan, her face twisted in that signature scowl. Ethan Cole, she shrieked, storming down the steps, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. You can't just take that monstrosity back. It's been impounded for violations. I stepped out, leaving the Mustang idling, its rumble a low threat. Violations? You broke into my garage, Karen. That's theft. Grand theft auto, actually. My voice was steady, but inside, I was a volcano, lava churning. The neighbors were peeking now, curtains twitching, faces pressed to windows. Good. Let them see. Her eyes narrowed, but there was a flicker of something, fear, maybe, when she saw the keys dangling in my hand. I have authority, she spat, clutching her phone like a shield. The Homeowners Association bylaws. Bylaws don't let you steal, I cut in, stepping closer. The air between us crackled, thick with her lavender perfume and my barely contained rage. You thought you could bully me, hide my car, and I'd just roll over. You don't get it, Karen. This car, I jabbed a finger at the Mustang, its engine still purring like a panther, is more than you'll ever understand. It's not about property values. It's about me. My life. My fight. She opened her mouth, but no words came. For once, Karen was speechless, her face paling as the reality hit. The neighbors were out now, phones up, recording. I could hear their murmurs, a low hum like distant thunder. Then Jake appeared, leaning against a lamppost across the street, arms crossed, watching. His presence felt like a wild card, a reminder that this wasn't just about me and Karen anymore. It was bigger. You're done, I said, voice low, final. I'm pressing charges. And I'm guessing I'm not the only one you've screwed over. I gestured to the crowd, their faces a mix of shock and quiet agreement. Karen's eyes darted, realizing she was cornered. Her empire of petty rules was crumbling, and she knew it. She took a step back, her heel catching on the curb. You can't do this, she stammered, but it was weak, a dying gasp. I didn't answer. I just got back in the Mustang, the doors slamming with a satisfying thud, and peeled out of her driveway. The tires squealed, a triumphant scream that echoed down the street. In the rearview, I saw her standing there, frozen, her cardigan flapping in the breeze like a white flag. I drove to the police station, the Mustang's engine a steady pulse under me, grounding me. The air smelled of exhaust and freedom, the sun glinting off the hood like a promise. I filed the report, every detail sharp in my mind, Karen's smug face, Jake's tired eyes, the weight of the keys in my hand. The officer raised an eyebrow when I mentioned the Homeowners Association, a smirk tugging at his lips. We've had complaints about her before, he said, scribbling notes. This might be the push we need. Days later, the news broke. Karen was charged, felony theft, breaking and entering. The neighborhood buzzed, stories pouring out, bikes confiscated, gardens ripped up, fines for unapproved paint colors. Jake came by my place one evening, hands in his pockets, looking lighter. Heard she's moving, he said, kicking at a pebble. Couldn't take the heat. He paused, then added, thanks, man. For standing up. I nodded, leaning against the Mustang, its chrome warm from the setting sun. Sometimes you gotta fight for what's yours, I said, and he smiled, a real one this time. As he walked off, I ran my hand over the car's curves, feeling the dents and scratches like battle scars. This wasn't just about a car. It was about standing tall, about taking back what someone tried to steal, your pride, your heart, your right to exist as you are. The cul-de-sac was quiet that night, the garage door silent as it closed over my Mustang. I stood there, keys in hand, and let out a long, shaky breath. Justice wasn't just Karen's downfall. It was this moment, me, my car, and the open road ahead, ready for whatever came next.